Hey. What's up?
All your favorite artists.
Check it out.
Say my name.
DJ Khaled.
This is Mila J.
Bruno Mars.
On hot7025fm.com.
What's going on, everybody? It's your main man, 360, the poet from the Morning Wood, and I'm here to talk to you about the Sci-Fi Center. It's your Vegas home for science fiction, horror, and fantasy. From comic books, toys, and posters to movie screenings and live events, they've got you covered. Located at 900 Cameron Avenue, Suite B209, give them a call, 702-900-4335, or reach them at thescificenter.com.
Keep your radio dial right here. You're locked into the hottest news station on the planet. Hot 702.5 in FM sound. Blazing today's hip-hop, R&B, and pop music. Keeping your radio on fire. Bringing you the hottest, realest, riskiest talk shows live 24/7. On hot7025fm.com.
It's your main man, 360, the poet from the Morning Wood. And are you looking for the perfect drink? Well, you found it. Mimosa Royale is the perfect combination of California's sparkling white wine and natural juice that is both tasty and refreshing. No artificial colors or flavors, no sugar added, and it's gluten-free. As the world's first ready-to-drink mimosa, Mimosa Royale is perfect for any occasion, day or night. You no longer have to drink 12 of those seltzers just to get that perfect buzz. At 8% alcohol, Mimosa Royale is the perfect drink to party with. Offered in a variety of flavors and sizes, you are bound to find a Mimosa Royale that you'll love. We have berry, mango, apple, and orange, with more flavors to come. Mimosa Royale is the most award-winning flavored wine that serves in bottles or cans. You can find them online at drinkmimosa.com or find them at your local liquor store. Ask for it by name. Mimosa Royale.
Always ready, always on time, right here. Your favorite place to be on a Wednesday afternoon. Right here, hollering at the homie right here on hot7025fm.com. It's your boy, your man. Come now, selector, 360 the poet. No, I'm just messing around, y'all. What's up, y'all? What it do, where y'all at, and what y'all doing? That's what I need to know from all of y'all out there in them streets. First of all, what's up, Dakari, Kofi, Dakarai, Dakavelli, Splakavelli, Natty P coming to me all the way from the ATL. What's up, home girl? Lucy Lowe, always good to see you checking in with me on Holla at the Homie. You know what I'm saying? I'm glad people checking in, hollering at me today because we got a good one on deck. As always, you know, we at the #1 spot for handling relationships, talking about friendships, partnerships, all the ships that be sailing right here on Holla at the Homie. It's the #1 advice column online or in person. That's right, because you can come in, sit in studio right here. If you anywhere near the Las Vegas area, you can come in and say what's happening sitting in the studio. But you got to go through the proper steps first. Proper preparation, prevent poor performance. So pop in here if you want to. There's a couple people in here strapped, so don't just pop up on us. You know what I mean? You got to have an invite up in this thing. But you're welcome, because I will invite you to come sit down in the studio. But also, if you got something to say, get it off your chest, holla at me. Call me, 702-551-5261. That's right, 702-551-5261. That's all you got to do to holla and get through. We'll plug you in, get you right here, let your question be heard live online. But what we do here is we do advice. We holler at people, and I always like to give my disclaimer every time I come on, right? I'll let y'all know I have not been to school for any type of counseling, psychology, psychiatry, and or anything that deals with helping people that I've paid to take tuition or taking a class on. Now, you know, of course, everybody does Psychology 101 as a freshman. So, yeah, I did take that class. So I guess some of these thoughts and, you know, ways I handle things came from that. But again, I'm not a true psychiatrist. But what I have done is lived a life that's been colorful. And these situations have come up in my life or in people's lives who close enough to me to where I can vicariously live through them. What up, DJ Tone Arms? Just celebrated a big birthday. No, it wasn't a big one. That's one more till you get to the big one. But still celebrated a birthday in July. Just, you know, got a chance to holler at you down there at Cork and Thorn. But we in here like we always do, and I dive straight into it and give y'all the raw and uncut. So let's get into today's letter. We got somebody reaching out to us. It says, "Dear Holla at the Homie, I'm reaching out because I recently had a minor disagreement with a close friend, and it left me feeling underappreciated and unheard. Now, I've been sitting with these feelings for a while now, and they're starting to weigh on me. I really value our friendship and want to handle this in the best way possible. How do I express my feelings without making my friend feel defensive or feel like I'm blaming them? I don't want to damage our relationship, but I also don't want to keep these feelings bottled up. Any advice on how to navigate through this situation would be greatly appreciated. Thanks so much for your help. Sincerely, unheard but hopeful. Ooh, see, this one left me ambiguous until they sent their profile and they let me know exactly, who they were. This one was ambiguous for a bit, and I couldn't tell whether this was coming for a guy or from a lady. Because, as men, what we always do, we don't talk about our feelings. We don't say anything about it. If it's something on our chest, it'll either figure itself out or we'll weed each other out. It is what it is. It ain't. That's not what we do normally, but this allowed me to kind of dive in and dissect on how to handle a situation like this, So like first and foremost, to hopeful, and unheard but hopeful, I want to say, I completely understand where you're coming from. Because I myself have been in these situations. Others I know have been in these situations. So I've been able to sponge this up and learn off how they handle theirs. And hopefully they were able to sponge up some of mine and learn how to, or maybe even how not to handle theirs in that situation. Because I know for a fact that I've been, let that male ego, what I always say, eliminating your greatest outcome is what ego stands for to me, right? So I've always been one to allow that male ego to take hold and control, right? To allow that ego to be like, hey, bruh, you ain't worried about them. This is all about you. So I've been in a situation where it's been on one side of it, but it seems as if you don't want to be on that side of it, with your name, unheard but hopeful. And you want to try to how to handle this situation. So what I would say, my first thing, what do I always say about whenever you're dealing with bringing something to a head or confronting something head on, make sure that the time and place is correct. That's one thing you always got to understand, right? Make sure that whatever you're doing, that you're not in a position to where they feel attacked or to where they feel like, well, you coming to me at the wrong time. I'm embarrassed now. Now you put me in a situation where I gotta think on my toes and not really sit down and dwell in this to feel how you feeling. Because what this person says is they felt unheard, and what they say, I felt unheard and undervalued and underappreciated. So that means you didn't feel like what you said during this confrontation or after you addressed the confrontation or at whether the confrontation was a part of what's got y'all at odds, that you didn't feel like you were heard in the situation and you didn't feel appreciated by your friend. And this is somebody who you must hold near and dear. Because if it's somebody who you just a flyby friend, we all have those as well. Flyby friend. What's up, Jorge? Good to see you, brother. Back in the building. A flyby friend is somebody who, they come and go as they go. And they're really not your friends. They're more associates, right? So if this was somebody who you just associate with, it probably wouldn't weigh as heavy on you. But it's something that's coming from somebody who you care about, who you want to speak to again, who you actually want to rebuild this type of friendship that you had prior to this, you say, a minor dispute. Some people, you may think it's minor, they may think it's major, but you have to figure out the perfect time is what I'm getting at. Not the perfect time, but a time that's appropriate for both of y'all to be in the headspace to receive each other's grievances in regards to this confrontation, to this minor dispute is what you call it, right? So what is it about this minor dispute? What was it? First of all, you got to pick a moment when you both relaxed and, you got some privacy, because everybody doesn't handle having to talk about things in front of other people very well, because they may talk to you differently than they talk to somebody else, because they may need to be an authoritarian or whatever they feel like they may need to get their point across to you, or they may have a bravado or a movado, male or female or whatever, bravado about how they talk to you amongst the other people. So you may put them in a situation to where you corner them, and now they come out like a raccoon cornered and it's defensive. Now it's scrappy, and they may cut you up. What's up, Deontay 38? They may cut you up, and so in a situation like that, you want to make sure that everything is in this right, proper place and time and able to speak about it. That's always my advice whenever you're dealing with somebody and there's a confrontation or a situation to where people aren't on the same page when it comes to the conversation, right? So pick a place and a time where it's comfort, some private time, and make sure it's, make sure all this is in place before this conversation unfolds. What's going on, Miss Janice Black? You know what I mean? Like, make sure you got all this set up. Don't just try to set it up and be like, okay, let me talk to you, and you moving stuff around, because everybody don't receive that moving around like you trying to put them in a proper place, set up a chessboard around them. You got to think like chess and do all these things prior to, right? Do all this stuff prior to you already getting this conversation ready. And then what's another thing I say when dealing with confrontation or when dealing with trying to get on the same page with somebody? Use those I statements. You know what I mean? Like, when you talk about what happened, focus on you rather than say they. Like, talk about, this is the things that I did during this conversation that I believe allowed us, or this confrontation or this dispute that allowed us to be where we are right now. These are the things that I feel like I felt underappreciated or unheard during these things. Not like you made me feel underappreciated or you did not hear me out. Just say I felt underappreciated. I felt unheard. So it's not an attack on them. It's just a recollection of what you digested during that transaction or during that confrontation or conversation that led to y'all to be where y'all are. Make sure you own up and claim those things. Would you say, Ms. Janice Black, you also have to ask, are they in a place of readiness for the conversation? Absolutely. Absolutely. That's it. That's part of making sure it's the right place and right time. Ask them those things. Like, that's part of the preparation as well. Good point on that, Ms. Janice Black. You do have to make sure that they're in a position of readiness. What's up, Killer D? You got to make sure they're in a position of readiness to be able to receive what it is you dropping on their lap. You don't want to just put this on somebody and they not even mentally ready to digest. Like, if I was to interview somebody, right, face to face, like, I'd make sure that they at least knew one question before they sat down in front of me. So now they in a position of place of readiness to be able to receive what I'm dropping on them. You can't throw somebody a pass and say, look alive, and expect them to catch it every single time. That's just common sense, So with that being said, when you have the I statements, that allows you to be what I would say the next step would be is specific. You have to be specific, mention the specific incident, but don't dwell on every detail. See, like, everybody don't receive dwelling on things very well, but if you allow them a chance to absorb a little bit of it, take in a little bit of it, a little bit at a time, that doesn't mean you have to keep harping on that little bit over and over and over again. What that means is be specific and talk about, like, okay, this was the incident where I felt underappreciated, but don't keep going on because the way you did da 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 da. It's just I felt underappreciated in the moment, as if take on why you felt underappreciated, not take on why. Don't give them the reasons why they made you feel that way, if that makes sense. You have to be able to receive what it is your part is. Like I said, when you point your finger, 3 fingers are pointing back at you. That's me, myself, and I. How does me, myself, and I contribute to where we are right now? So if you come to this point, you got to be specific about it. Keep it short and to the point. That way it doesn't feel overwhelming to either one of y'all. So let's go back over the first couple things we talked about. So we got somebody who wrote in a letter. Is they asking us how to navigate through a situation where they got into a minor dispute with somebody who they hold near and dear, somebody who they consider being a friend, and they really haven't had words, since. They're in a kind of uncomfortable place right now, and they want to figure out how to get back to the place where they were, or at least close to it, without feeling confrontational or accusatory. And we talked about choosing the right place and right time. And Ms. Janice Black put in that, make sure that they're in a right place and a right time for them to receive it as well. Not just the situation to where you have privacy only, or it's a situation where it's not. Like I always say, don't blow a moment out of proportion and don't ruin a good moment, if that makes sense. So what I mean by that is if you're in a good place and everybody having fun, it's not the right time to bring up something that's aggravating, something that's not sitting well with you. Let that moment be, but find the pockets in between, the enjoyable moments, the happy ha-ha moments. Because again, if everybody's in a good headspace geared towards something that's in front of them, like you watching a movie or y'all at a game or it's game night or it's party or something, that's not the right moment. What's up, D. Dukerson? Triple D in the building. You got to find the right place to converse about these things and the right time. Make sure both of y'all are in a headspace that's ready for it, right? Make sure you're using those I statements where this is where I felt underappreciated. Don't point the finger at them and say, this is where you made me feel underappreciated. Just say, this is where the moment where I felt underappreciated. And that will go a long way in regards to allowing them to receive or to be able to dissect. What's up, Mr. 49506, a.k.a. Axel Foley? What's up, JJ in the building? So these are the things you got to be specific and brief. Mention the incident, but don't dwell on it, What does that mean? How do you do that? How do you mention something without dwelling on it? What'd you say, Ms. Janice Black? Let them know that that you desire to reconcile because of how a relationship means to you. Exactly. That's my next point. You got to when you invite that dialogue, you got to let them know how much this relationship means to you. What we find minor can be major to someone else and have a respect for that. That's just so true. Again, how they receive it is a big deal. You hollering at the homie? Yeah, how they're receiving it is a big deal. So, like you said, it may be a minor dispute to you, but it may be something major sitting on their chest, right? It may be something major to them that you may look at as small, but you have to respect the fact that how they feel about it. If you're going to give your feelings about something, you have to respect the other person's reciprocal feelings about the same situation. You have to, because if not, then what you're doing is just strictly, trying to monopolize the situation to put it in your favor. What you say, Natty P, but when do we need to walk away? Some relationships are not meant to reconcile. This is true. This is true. This is definitely true. Some things are not meant to, but you at least owe it the respect to see what areas in which you could have tried to reconcile. If all those are flag, and no check marks, then by all means, you walk on. Walk on by. You walk away from that, to save yourself and them, because because eventually something gonna happen to somebody, right? That's an excellent point, Natty P. You got to find out when is the time to walk away. If you've done these things and chosen the right place and used the I statements and been specific and brief, next thing you do is you invite that dialogue. You find out a way to, after you've shared your feelings and you open the floor for them to respond. And in that response, that'll give you whether or not do I stay or do I go. If you give them a chance to say it with their chest, for lack of better phraseology, it gives you an opportunity to see where you both stand in the situation. Is it worth reconciling anymore? You might say, I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. That's a way to invite somebody in without saying, now what you got to say, because anybody always says this is the number one cliche when it comes to conversations like this. It's not the message, it's the delivery. How people give you what they saying to you. What you say, Miss Janice Black, you said walk away when people stop trying to exist in a healthy way. No one is perfect with you 100% of the time. This is true. Exactly. And that's what I'm saying. When you invite that dialogue, you allow them to give you a glimpse of where they are in it. Because if you're letting them speak their truth the same way they allowed you to speak yours, then you're open, you're receptive, you're listening. All the things you wanted them to do to you, you are now giving them that same respect in return, regardless of whether or not you're going to reconcile this situation after. This is the only true way for you to know and for them to know that this was worth saving or it wasn't. Because y'all both, I gave my best, but I guess my best wasn't good enough. You know what I mean? Like, you got to understand these things. What's up, DJ Count? Man, I love to see you on there. I tell people all the time, man, you saved my life. I ain't even going to lie, man. DJ Count told me his number one phrase to me is, you fight fire better with water. Oh, that saved my life. I promise it did, DJ Count. I'm going to give you credit for that. But in situations like this, you're fighting fire with water. See how the universe brings that full circle? You're fighting fire with water because it's something that's erupted inside of you. Something is burning, something you mad at, you on fire about. So now you got to find a way to put that fire out. You got to find a way to put that fire out. But how you do it, you don't fight it with more aggression. That's going to set it ablaze. You find a way to turn the sprinklers on to come at it from a higher level, or you face it head on by turning on the hose. How do you put that fire out? What water method are you going to use? Choosing the right place and time is a way to turn the sprinklers on. It's above you now. You're taking the higher route. Using the I statements allows you to do both. You got the hose and the sprinklers on because this is how I feel in the situation. But be specific and brief. Don't forget about that. But then when you invite that dialogue, that's where you allow them to come in and say some stuff. What's up, Najee Shabazz? What's going on with you, Ray Butler? Good to see y'all in the building. Would you say put it all on the table with no leftovers? Yes, put it out there. Because if you leave something behind, then two things going to happen. One, you're not going to get your true response out of them because two, they're not going to have all the information to go off of to give you a true response. You have to leave it all on the table with no leftovers. Nothing left to be like, I forgot. We got cranberry sauce in the fridge that we didn't discuss. I need to be able to see it all to see what I'm going to attack, what I'm willing to put on my plate, what I'm willing to eat in this situation. What'd you say, Mr. 49506? Sometimes you don't have to walk away. You get to see the nature of the relationship change where you're in the place of a person. You have family, friends, and associates. Absolutely. People promote themselves to whatever they're going to be in your life. Like my GM at the gig says, people promote themselves to being guests. That means they got fired. You promoted yourself to being just an associate in my life by how you respond. What's going on, Nicole, Missy Mo? It's all about how you respond to where we going to go with this thing, right? You don't have to walk away. Sometimes people push themselves out. They jump on their own. This plane is, it's too much for me. Oh, I'm out. But when you invite that dialogue, you allow them to have that opportunity. Thank you, DJ Count. You know what I mean? So this is the thing you got to understand. When you allow them to talk to, tell them what you think or what I would love to hear your thoughts. This encourages that two-way conversation. So now you're not in this by yourself. A lot of times we get upset because we feel like people not responding and we talking to ourselves. If you allow them to talk and you actually listen, then now you're not in it by yourself anymore. Now it's a two-way street. Now you got a reason. It's like tennis. You volleying back and forth now. But do you want, how long do you want this volley to go on? Be precise with it, because at the end of the day, you want it to be positive vibes. Once the conversation is over, exactly. Actually listen. Actively listen. You cannot be talking. That's one. To actively listen, you cannot be readying your answer from something they said 3 sentences ago, because now you've missed 3 sentences because you're trying to figure out when you're going to be able to double dutch your answer in. If you actively listen, take notes. Yes, be like, okay, boom, okay, bow, that hit home because I'm listening to that, so I can respond to that later. I won't lose that point. I won't lose that thought, I mean to say. So when you ask, what's up, Steph? When you actively listen, you say that again. Exactly. When you actively listen, you won't miss out on things that are trying to be delivered to you, because sometimes it's in the tone. Sometimes it's in hidden words that pop out based off the conversation. Sometimes it's in body language. So when you actively listening, you get a chance to digest all of that from what somebody's given to you. A lot of us do that a lot. We find ourselves doing that often, where we say okay, I heard him. I can't wait to respond to what they just said. But while you're waiting to respond and you holding that in the chamber, you missing so many more bullets. You missing so much more ammo to go towards the war against the situation. It's not like you're warring against the person. You want to fight off whatever you people two are going. I don't want to say you people, whatever you two or whatever your group is going through. That is the ammunition that you use to fight it off, that you gather. You get your recon by listening. You have to actively listen in order to really, truly communicate with somebody. You know? Tone, exactly. Tone says a lot. The tone of how you say something to somebody says a lot. And in therapy, I've learned that, people hear tone differently. People try to say it's just a man thing, it's a woman thing. A lot of times it is. Women hear stuff and men hear stuff completely different. Same sentence can be said with the same tone, but what that tone means to me will be completely different. What it mean to E, what it mean to Maya, what it mean to, to Miss Janice Black, what it mean to Steph, all these people that's on here right now, it'll mean something different said in the exact same way to me that it is to you. So you have to take into account who it is you're talking to as well. If this is a male-female conversation, tone got to be checked. It has to be checked. I always say, my tone gets a little loud because I speak with passion. But that's another thing I have to check because everybody doesn't receive that passion well, especially in the heat of a moment. I got to check my tone. You say just listening will give you the answer without responding. Exactly, right? What's up, Sapphire Gardner? What up, though? It will. It'll give you the answer without even having to say it out loud, without even having to respond. When listening to somebody, they give you all the answers you're looking for. They give them to you. They give you the open book test. Everything you're looking for is right there if you just listen to it. Same thing. When your teacher's giving you the review on like what your exam gonna be on, same thing occurs. If you just listen to what they saying without just trying to, okay, let me make sure I remember that. No, take notes. But don't get caught up in so much in the notes that you miss the rest of the message in the lesson. Don't do that. Because after you've, gotten the perfect place and time and situation. So recapping, right? Whenever you're dealing with disputes or any type of situation. And that's one thing I like Miss Janice Black said, that it may be minor to you, but it may be major to them. And you have to respect that. What's up, Mrs. Contreras? I knew you were going to tap in here. And you have to respect that. You say you've been teaching for 20 years. See, exactly. And in order to teach, you got to continue to learn, right? And that's the thing. When you teaching somebody, you're hoping that they're listening because they're giving you the response to whether they're absorbing based off all of their tone, their body language, based off their answers to the questions that you give them. If they didn't get the message, the answers to the question going to be jacked up. They're going to be out of whack. You're going to be asking them about a recipe. They're going to be talking about the color green. That's how far and polar they'll be if there's no active listening going on from both sides, because you won't know that they're not getting it if you're not tuned into them. You understand? Like, you have to give them the same respect that you wanted from them while they're talking back to you. That's why it's an invite open dialogue. You welcome them into the conversation. That way it's not a one-sided thing. It can't be looked at as a one-sided thing because you're both volleying. You're in it together, in it to win it. And one thing that I've learned to discuss and talk about as of recent is we have to understand that when people are trying to make a point, both the person who's trying to make a point and the person who they're trying to get to understand the point need to realize that it's not a score. We're not keeping score. It's not making a point like I'm up 1-0. It's, did you understand what this was I was saying to you? I want to make sure this point is conveyed properly without any ambiguity, without any questions about what it is I'm talking about. So that's the point. It's not about keeping score. And all of us need to understand that, especially if you want to be an effective communicator with anybody, especially those who we care about. Because the ones who we care about the most are the ones we quite often, what's going on, Firas? Are the ones we quite often feel as if we're in competitive point making with. because it's not a competition about who can make the most points. We just want to make sure that our point is taken, is understood, is gotten. If that, and hopefully that makes sense, you know, because it took a while for it to click even in my head that, you know, they're not getting my point, because I'm wanting them to get the point, to understand that I made a point over you. But it's not about that. It's about, did my point get understood? That's where you're winning at. That's where everybody's winning. If your point is understood and their point is understood, it's a win-win. A win-win. That's like a good business deal. Anything that's great for the cause of both sides is a win-win. Their point is heard and understood, because all we want to do is be heard. All they want to do is be heard. And how do we allow that for each of us to be done, right? We jump right in and allow them to jump right in when it's their turn. We, instead of double dutching, waiting on us to get a turn while they going. That's why I call it double dutching. It's their turn, but you trying to jump in. Let them have their turn. You know what I mean? And you just watch. Listen to how the ropes hit. Listen to the rhythm. Now you got your rhythm together. Now when it's time for you to jump in. Exactly, Mrs. Contreras. We have to be able to agree to disagree. And not just say that just to be like, I'm not trying to hear your point anymore. We just have to agree to disagree. No. If we both understand each other's point and still don't agree on the point, then that's where we agree to disagree. What'd you say, Najee Shabazz? You say it's crazy that a lot of us don't know how to properly communicate or listen. We don't. And hopefully that, you know, people are starting to evaluate while listening to this show or others similar to it, but preferably this one. People are learning to evaluate how to do these things. That's what we sit on here and talk about. We have to find out how to be more effective communicators. That's both speaking up for ourselves in this instance, what this person unheard but hopeful is talking about. How do you speak up for yourself without sounding confrontational? You do that by allowing them to speak their side as well. That's how it is. By being a communicator, you speak up and you listen. You have to be able to do both, but be precise when you're speaking up. If you're going to be a good communicator, don't beat around the bush. Don't be like, well, I just didn't like it. What is it that you did not like? I need you to give me some deets. Give me some details. Break it down. You didn't like the way it made you feel. You didn't like the way it made you, your stomach rumble. What made you in a point where the comfort was there at one moment and it wasn't after? I need some meat on the bones. That conversation has to have some meat on the bones. But then also, I got to allow them to eat their meat too. I got to allow them to eat that. And I got to allow them to feel. I know, pause. I did say eat they meat. I got to allow them to gnarl all that to the gristle, and they get a chance to do the same, right? Because now we're communicating. It's a two-way street. Would you say so many people say in their way or it's their way or the highway? And that's not cool, because that's dictatorship. You know what I mean? That's some Trumpy stuff. It's my way or the highway. That's some BS. Why is it my way or the highway? If that's the case, am I chauffeuring you? You chauffeuring me? Because we not riding together. We can't be riding together if it's only your way or the highway. I may need you to drive sometimes. So I need to be able to feel comfortable with the fact that it can be your way sometimes. So if I'm sitting there saying it's my way or the highway, I'm not even allowing you to give me that safety and comfort to believe that you can handle it when I'm not around. When people say it's my way or the highway, then they're hoping that you know how to do things the way they would do them. But you're not them. So things will never be perfect that way. When you say my way or the highway, you're not allowing the people to have exactly, but that's their insecurities. That's definitely their insecurities, because they think their way is the only way at times. But also they may think that if you do it another way, that you're going to do it better than them. People, I was talking about a poem about that earlier today. Like, people asking the question, they asking the question, is he solid? Is he fold? Is he just playing another role? You know what I mean? Like, you have to be comfortable with getting an answer that may be better than yours. As long as you get the answer that's most productive. The way you came into this conversation, this quote unquote, without confrontation, may not be the way the conversation rolls once you're in it actively doing both things, speaking up for yourself and allowing them to do the same. So it may not go the way you planned it. So my way or the highway in that instance wouldn't work because you don't even know how to navigate the right way. Mike Denardi, Real Estate. What up, dog? You may not even know how to navigate through that roughage. I know y'all all seen the commercial where they got Cha-Cha Slide playing on the Waze or on the Google Maps. You know, he said slide to the left. They turn it to the right because they're listening. They're allowing just what they think somebody else's way is proper, instead of taking the reins, speaking up for themselves, and allowing this conversation to be two-way. Once you got the steering wheel, then now you're in control. You're in the head of that conversation. But when you allow them to drive, you can't be shotgun driving. You're not allowing the road to be properly traveled in regards to you two. So, like I say, after you invite that dialogue, you want to end out on a positive note. Reaffirm how much their friendship means to you, if it does mean that much to you, still after that conversation. Let them know, like, I'm not coming at you because I want us to go our separate ways, because I don't want us to be cool. I'm coming at you because I want us to be back cool how we once were. Say something like, I'm bringing this up because I care about how we turn out. I don't want this to fester because, again, as dudes, as men, as guys, as the male species, as whatever you want to call us, how many ever names it is for us, the ones with the testosterone for days, we act like that a lot. We don't talk about our feelings, because we were taught all the time that feelings were soft. But then we end up like a shaken up soda pop when the cap finally come off and we spilling everywhere. People getting wet that didn't even belong in it, that didn't even deserve to get sprayed. Because as guys, we don't really allow ourselves to talk about a whole lot. So this line of communication doesn't come across as clearly to us all the time. So that's kind of why I started Holla at the Homie, because I want us to be able to think in other ways than what we were brought up thinking and taught. It's not about being soft or about being hard. It's about being transparent and real, because you want people to be the same with you. So you can't be, a frosted glass and you want them to be see-through. That doesn't mesh well. That neither will go and neither look like they belong together. So you'll always be out of sorts. This is in friendships, relationships, partnerships, family ships, all the ships that sail. They call them ships because it's going to be some waters that sometimes it's going to be smooth, sometimes it's going to be choppy, right? How do you become the captain of the boat, or how do you become the first mate? So you want to end on a positive note by reaffirming to them that this relationship actually means something. What you say, Ms. Contreras? If you want to be heard, you have to be willing to listen to. Exactly. That's just a respect thing. Like, if respect is what you expect from all those looking at you, right? So you have to give it to get it. You can't be like, well, I don't respect nobody that don't respect me. How are you going to get it if you don't ever give it out? When somebody's respectful, they are full of it, full of respect, and it spills over. Pay attention to the origin of some of these words and what they actually mean in context to the sentence. Like, I appreciate your respectful nature in this conversation. Like, it poured over to the point where I know that you respect what we are doing, what we're talking about. That remind them that the intentions of, they're good. And the conversation is about strengthening your bond, not about tearing it down. That's how you come at this without being confrontational. Make sure that it's understood that you are trying to rebuild or pave glue back the pieces that are now either cracked, broken, or shattered. We all know when things shatter, you can never completely put them back together, right? But at least you can try to make sure it looks like a piece of shattered glass. So now it's intentional, and we know that it's been repaired. We know that we've put in some work. We know that we all have put forth the effort to make sure this stays together. That's how you do it, by making sure it's the right time and place, making sure that you use the I statements, being specific and precise and to the point, and be brief. inviting the dialogue for them to be able to speak their piece as well. That's like being in court, right? If you watch any court shows, both people get closing arguments. So if the jury is still out on any situation, it's because they weren't able to hear both sides of it. That's the only way you can deliberate amongst yourselves, if both sides are heard completely. And don't leave, like Ray Butler said, make sure there's no leftovers. Put it all on the table. Don't leave anything associated with this meal, with this conversation in the fridge and say, oh, we just put that on ice. We'll get to that later. No, put it all out there. Put it on the table. Put your cards on the table. That's what it means by putting your cards on the table face up. Now let's play blackjack. Now let's play poker. You see what my hand is. I'm not hiding anything. It's nothing up my sleeve. It's no trickery. Let's play this hold'em face up. Every card, so I can't bluff you. There's no bluffing. Because it's not about winning and losing in this situation. It's making sure exactly all your aces on the table. This is about making sure that all the cards are on the table, that there's nothing hidden, that we know what's in this 52 card pickup. That's the way we keep these things from ending, or at least if they do end, we got an understanding of we've exhausted all possibilities to be able to kind of keep this thing going on between this person and I. Exhaust all the possibilities. That's what it means, ride till the wheels fall off. If the wheels fall off, that means we can no longer travel together. We flat. We saying don't try to play no joker later on. Yeah, that's true. That's what I'm saying. No deuces wild. This is straight up hold 'em. Cards on the table, face up. No wild cards. Those come in life already on their own. You want to get to the true nitty gritty of what's going on with this. Right? So end it on that positive note. Reaffirm them that you're doing this because you want to make sure that your relationship either stays healthy or gets back healthy because you care about it. Friendships or relationships that, they take work. They're not easy. If they were, everybody would be friends. Everybody would have good relationships or 100% all, happy-go-lucky, roses, rainbows, whatever it is, unicorns, whatever it is that makes you smile and fuzzy on the inside. They all would be like that if they were easy. But they're all not like that. That gives you depth. That gives you complexity. That gives you a little bit something that's different than other people. That way they're not the same. The fact that you're willing to speak up about this unheard but hopeful lets me, and it should let your friend know that you care enough about this relationship that you want to make sure that it continues, that you're committed to it and making it thrive, right? That's what I got in my notes over here. The fact that you're willing to speak up shows that you're committed to making this relationship thrive. So I hope this helped you. I really do. Remember, it's all about balance and standing up for yourself, but we also about showing love and respect to your friend. Make sure that you got all these things intact. Make sure that it doesn't feel one-sided. Like you should fix everything about you in this situation, because if it's a dispute or if it's a misunderstanding, then both sides aren't clear. Nobody's clear in it, really, if it has something to do with you wanting to repair it. So remember that. Make sure you give people the proper time and respect when dealing with situations, especially when it's can come off as a confrontation. The best thing to do is handle the approach similar to like Switzerland, right? So it's not like you're committed to making them feel worse about the situation. You just want them to be heard about how you feel about the situation. So use those I statements. Take it on. Take ownership in why this is uncomfortable to you. And don't just put it on them. Well, I feel like this because you did this. No, I felt this way in the moment when this happened. Don't make anybody a victim. Don't make anybody a villain, because we're just ultimately trying to find an answer so we can all be victorious in regards to this situation. So, you know, anybody else out there that's dealing with something similar, don't be afraid to speak up about it. That's what I say. You know, don't just walk by your home, girl. Don't just walk by. Like I say, women most likely don't do it quite often. Through my studies and situations and places people who I've seen in similar situations, females, unless it's with a guy, if it's two females in the situation, most of the time they're going to either talk about it, and you saying don't be me, me, me. Yeah, exactly. Don't be this is me, 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 me. This is about us. This is we. Turn that M upside down. This we. And not just yes, as in French. I'm talking about we, us, nosotros, todo personas. You know, however you want to look at it, you know. Make sure that everybody within this situation feels as if they are being heard and that what they're saying is being received and respected by those who asked for it. You asked for it, so at least respect my words if I'm giving it to you raw and uncut, or if I'm giving it to you out of love, or respect what I got to say because it's how I feel. You want me to respect what you got to say, so do the same. Respect is reciprocal. You know, you give what you get in that situation. Hopefully, at least that's what you hope for. You hope for the reciprocity of respect, you know? And like Ray Butler said again, you want to make sure you got it all on the table. Leave it all on the table, you know? And when you leave the situation, make sure that you don't feel as if they didn't get a chance to get all they wanted to say out and you didn't get a chance to get all you wanted to say out, because it's going to continue to fester if all of the pieces of the puzzle aren't accounted for. You can't put a 1,000-piece puzzle together on the table and expect people to call it, you know, look at it as art, and you only got 995 pieces. 5 are missing. So those 5 have to be accounted for. The missing pieces to the puzzle of what y'all got going on as friends. So that's it for today's episode. I hope it helped those out there. I hope it helped unheard but hopeful. I hope some of y'all got a chance to feel helped in this situation if you're going through something similar. Because I know it helped me by answering these questions for this individual. I got some conversations that need to be had with some friends of mine, with some, you know, friends of mine who may not be on the same page as where I am right now, but we got to figure out why we not on that same page. And I got to allow them their space and respect them enough to say, hey, how you feel? I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. You know, it's not just about me. It's not just about what I need out of this. It's about what we need if we are going to get better and move forward. So you can't move forward if you're on that hamster wheel where you're looking in the mirror at yourself, all right? And you know what? One of my favorite sayings, this is a 360 original, you can't cry wolf if you're running with the pack. So until next time, thank you for listening. And until next time I see you next Wednesday, take care of yourself and take care of each other. I've been 360 the Poet. I'm going to holler at y'all in a minute.
Hi. Hey.
What's up? All your favorite artists.
Check it out. Say my name. DJ Khaled. This is Mila J. Bruno Mars.
On Hot 702.5FM.com.